Hi everyone. So I am, last but hopefully by no means least, I am from an agency called Sunshine, and I'm sort of slightly aware that many of you might not have heard of us because we are quite new. We have been going for about 2 years now, so I think quite a lot of us have been members of the IPA from various well-respected agencies for quite a long time, but Sunshine itself is about 2 weeks into its membership, so very nice to be allowed to come up here and show you some examples, or an example specifically of our work, which does not have an IPA effectiveness paper yet, but give us a bit of time and we'll get there. So yeah, we're a startup, and there was 5 people when I joined about 2 years ago, and there is 60 now, and we've tripled the size of the business in 2 years, so that's all very good and very positive. And if you get into the office late, you might have to sit on someone's knee, so we're feeling pretty good about our growth. We have a couple of mantras. One is hello possible, which we use quite frequently, and the other one is to approach what will work with unreasonable ambition. So I think that kind of quite well captures the spirit and the culture of the place. It's called Sunshine, so you have to be pretty nice and get on with people when that is the name of the place you work. It's really interesting that everyone has talked about culture and the importance of it, because that is at the heart of why we were founded and how we were founded. We have 2 founders. One is, who aren't here today actually, one of them's in LA unfortunately, having a lovely time. So one is a guy called Al Makouche, and he was one of the creative directors at Mother for 12 years, and very well known for a lot of very famous work over there. And the other one is Kit Hawkins, who is not from advertising at all. He has an entertainment background, so his company was a music management company. They managed people like Mumford and Keane and people like that, and then he was a worldwide producer for things like Live Earth, so very much in the entertainment space. And the idea was that we would fuse those 2 things together to try and make work that lives outside of the category and in popular culture. So it's good to know that everybody's agreeing that that's a very good idea. So our founding belief is that cultural impact delivers greater commercial value. So ultimately, great brands transcend their category and live in popular culture, attracting a disproportionately large share of attention, so essentially fame, from their consumers, the media, and the public at large. So really what we're trying to do is create a value place for brands in people's lives, and essentially, rather than interrupting the things that people love, become some of the things that they love instead. So I think the best thing to do at this stage, I'll show you an example of some work we've been doing for Baileys for the sponsorship of the Women's Prize for Fiction, and then I've got 3 sort of principles that I think echo what we've all talked about as a result at the end.
Baileys, the world's #1 cream liqueur, had lost its relevance and been ignored by a generation.
Mint Baileys? I mean, what will they think of next?
With sales in decline for a decade and only 9% of drinkers under 35, we needed to find a new way to connect with a new generation. We identified a huge yet underexploited opportunity to play a valued role in women's lives: books. Not only a popular pastime, sharing books helps build bonds and female relationships. We started by brokering a partnership with the prestigious Women's Prize for Fiction.
The Girl is a Half-Formed Thing was described as amazing and ambitious by judges at last night's Baileys Women's Prize for Fiction.
Building on our partnership, we developed #ThisBook, a social engagement program built around one question: which book written by a female author has had the greatest impact on your life? We ignited interest by posing the question to 19 high-profile women, and earned rather than bought our way into culture with a major feature in the Sunday Times, a TV series for Sky Arts, the Elle Book Club, which established a new consumption occasion for Baileys, and over 221 million PR impressions within 24 hours of launch.
I have tried to branch out, but I keep coming back to the Cornwall, because the Cornwall writes extremely well.
Over 10,000 women shared their #ThisBook choice on Twitter, including key influencers J.K. Rowling and Caitlin Moran. We delivered over 2 million of added value and unlocked a new listing for Baileys on Amazon. And critically, we've created a fundamental shift in the perception of Baileys. In only 12 months, Baileys has gone from dated outsider to a brand with a powerful role in the lives of a new generation of women.
To be a woman is to be a very fearless thing these days too.
So yeah, that is what we were working on quite hard for most of last year. And I have 3 principles, I suppose, which I say are pretty well echoed with what the other guys have been saying. So the first thing is that absolutely it's about getting out of the category and into culture, starting with something that the audience are predisposed to care about to really establish interest and credibility. So put simply, a lot more women like books than Baileys, and actually it's a really underexploited area of culture. It's incredibly popular, and in fact when we identified that book clubs as a really good non-solitary aspect of reading, that with the consumption occasion baked into it, it felt like we had a really rich space. And then we identified the Women's Prize for Fiction as an existing sort of cultural property that we could then lean into and form that partnership. The second principle that's probably the most important thing, and something that we make sure we do in every piece of work that we work on, is to find what we call the win-win-win. So essentially we're trying to absolutely find the point of mutual benefit for all parties involved, which is, I know, one of those things that sounds amazing in theory and is incredibly hard in practice, because it requires starting with what people genuinely care about, with what your partners genuinely care about, and then trying to find a way to layer what your brand stands for within that. So we spent a lot of time trying to find that sweet spot, which is why we ended up with this book property, because it was really building value into an existing conversation. There's thousands and thousands of people who share what their favourite books are on social media, be it taking pictures of them on Instagram or talking about them on Twitter, or probably even in real life, if only we could see that. So essentially we found a way to really build that in and make it more meaningful for people, and it became a really valuable hook for Baileys and for the prize, because it enabled us to invite high-profile talent to come into the conversation, and then that gave us a really brilliant sort of pool of content that could amplify what we were doing. And that leads quite neatly onto the third point, which is essentially what we always describe as keep the right company. So essentially, especially when you're talking about something like Baileys that is trying to do a really big shift from being seen as a very kind of dated outsider brand to find a new space back as a premium brand and a sort of, you know, aspirational brand. It's like, not only did we need to make sure that we were telling people it had changed, but we needed other people to talk about us on our behalf. So whether that was the 19 women who all gave their time for free to be part of the project, whether that was Topshop tweeting about us, or J.K. Rowling tweeting about us, or Elle magazine giving us a 12-month editorial partnership to host book club evenings. It's just all really, really critical endorsement from credible sources that were speaking on our behalf. And that's something, again, that we try to build into everything that we do. So yeah, those are principles that we're really focusing on. It's something we're carrying on. I'm going to do the same. This is what we're doing this year. This is our rather beautiful and wonderful, brilliant Women's Guide to the Very Modern Book Club that we're doing for this year's extension of the partnership. If anyone wants one, let me know. And what we have done is we're working really hard with Whistles, who is, you know, an incredibly credible, well-respected, well-loved British retailer, and they are going to be giving out 20,000 little samples with purchases online and in store, and we have like reading corners where you can sort of sit down if the shopping's got a bit too much when you get in there, read your book, events, you know, so just like a whole host of stuff. And they're doing that because they see the win-win-win that we're all in together to do it. So it's, you know, it's proving to be really effective as we go forward. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you.